Hello, me again. I somehow thought like making a video can be more live sometimes. So now you actually all have seen my face, so I can also share some videos from time to time. And I thought maybe I just begin today and just talk what is right in my head. I don't really have a subject beside that. I thought about authority. And because I think understanding authority is one of the most important aspects on the freedom of mind, or how we want to call this. Um, what is meant with, like you maybe have seen me saying very often, that it's necessary to be free from authority to be at peace. But what is meant with this? Because obviously we are not free from authority. We are all living in a system what is based on authority. And also, being free from authority, of course, is in some things nonsense. For example, if you have a tumor or operation going on, you of course will go to a doctor and not to a carpenter because he knows more about this. So this is authority. But I like to introduce a distinction, what is probably a little bit artificial, but still I think very helpful if we think about this topic. And this is the difference between inner and outer authority. On the outside, you have authority, what it can be maybe called natural authority. So if you have a good carpenter, that of course you would buy a chair from him or get a chair from him, and it is a real art to be a good carpenter. So somebody who spends a lot of love and a lot of care to be a carpenter, of course, that is not something to deny, and this of course is not what we mean with this. Also, a certain form of regulation within society appears to be helpful. So this is also not bad, but this is something else than inner authority. The problem with authority begins in the second where you feel less worse than the carpenter, or where you feel to be trapped than the carpenter. And what is the misunderstanding in this? It might be the case that we mix up this outer process of the authority, what is based on learning in time. If you want to be a good carpenter, you have to practice some time. It will not just spring out of nothing. So it needs some time. And we project this to the inside. And there is where some trouble lies, because we're so much used to this. We're so much used to compare ourselves with others and feel more or less worse. While this has actually no reality, because your inside, your experience world, your inner world is unique. And there is no way how to be right. You are right in your very nature, from your very heart. And I think, how can we make, if it comes to spirituality, this appears to be especially important, because the path of spirituality is the path to oneself and maybe beyond. So it cannot be, it's impossible to follow somebody. Of course there can be pointings, that is what we do with the group. But it's very important that we see the difference between the word and that what is meant with the word. The word is never the actuality. So I thought about maybe an example for this can be, like, we talk about of this term, what is this the goal of the spiritual practice, this enlightenment, going beyond thought, as we said another day. So now I, as a person, is Tobias. I founded this group that you are now attending, and I have written a lot. And of course, most of you might ask, what is this guy authentic or not? Is he actual? Is he what he says he is? And is this a truth, or is he just like making stuff up in his mind? But as soon as you ask this question, actually, you can see that you have been falling again in the trap, because what I am, or what is my state of mind, or whatever you want to call it, is not at all important for yourself. So if I know, like for example, let's say I say now here making this video, I say, state to you, I am enlightened. So what you make out of it? You have two ways to deal with this. You can either say like, no, I don't believe, this guy is talking nonsense. And some people who are not that deep in this matter would even say there's no such thing as enlightenment, probably. Or you can say, oh, this guy is enlightened, I believe him because he writes smart stuff, or something like this. So I should listen to him. Both conclusions are trap. With both conclusions you stop to be actively in the present. What we're trying to achieve. You will conform to a certain pattern as soon as you make any conclusion. So if I am enlightened or not doesn't help you at all to gain an understanding about it. So no matter what is your conclusion about it, you still will have to find out yourself if the stuff what I say is true, and if there is the possibility of enlightenment. This question will never be answered through somebody else or through any book or something like this, because it will only be a conclusion. It will be a picture in your mind. And the conclusion gives no certainty. You can see it in this very well. You might make the conclusion that there is something like enlightenment or not. But this doesn't really suit the purpose. The question, the burning will not stop from this. You can numb yourself, and every time when you doubt, you can say, no, there's no such thing as enlightenment. But actually, the question is not answered at all. If you want to find out, is there enlightenment, is there a possibility to go beyond thought and to go beyond suffering, then you will have to find out for yourself, and nobody can help you with this. And then, back to coming to authority, you can easily see that authority just is not like, oh, you're not allowed to believe anybody. This is not what I mean. The thing is, authority doesn't work in the spiritual way. Because you can believe the picture what somebody paints, writing a book, making a video like this, or whatever it is, and then you can try to copy it. But that will most likely never answer your question. Maybe you will go in the process, you will see that it's nonsense. That might as well be, but then there's something else. Then again, you yourself have done it. You cannot get it by copying, because you would just follow another picture in your mind, and this is exactly what we have to overcome, or no, what we want to overcome. So normally when somebody would say like, I am enlightened, the normal reaction would be to be either jealous, either then try to like build up some admiring for the person, try to copy him, and so on. And this is all the mind. These are all functions of the mind, and this is how the mind usually tries to deal with this kind of subjects. We try to copy. You can maybe see your mind, it's very repetitive. It always tries to copy patterns from somebody else to find some kind of security. But as we now just elaborated, it's impossible to find security in those pictures. It might make the illusion of it, because for some time, while hunting for the picture, we are this belief that it might give us relief, can like give some feeling of stability, of some like I found a way or something like this. But in the end, it will not serve you. And so it is with all pictures of the mind. Enlightenment is a very strong example. But it is with all of this, we're looking for security in identification. What is another picture in the mind? It's impossible to achieve. It will not give you security, because everything you can identify with will fade. So there's no security in this. Also, there's no security in tomorrow. What is another picture in your mind? There's no tomorrow as such. Of course, tomorrow I would sit at this table probably as well. But it will be now also. So if you think like tomorrow I will be less afraid, will be a better person, cannot happen. This is not a time-based process. Outside authority might be a time-based process. This is a material process. So if you have to learn something about matter, well, like thoughts are matter as well. I think this gets quite kind of clear here. And the other one is not. It's a timeless process. And so in some traditions, for example in the Advaita Vedanta, there's a book from Shankara, very good book, called Ability to Discriminate. And it is very important to discriminate. This, for example, is good practice, to see what applies to the outside world just. For example, time, of course, sun goes up and down, but is there really time in the inside? Is there psychological time? So I think a lot of confusion comes from this, that we mixed up things that we see in the outside and applied it to the inner world. What is just not suitable, because this is a realm of complete different laws, one can say. No, not even laws, is of different conditions. So, authority in spirituality is not something very bad because it is a trap, something like this. It is, it just doesn't work. So there cannot be authority. And as long as authority, there is this distance between you and what you have to reach, and this distance will create conflict out of itself. The carpenter making a good chair will not create any conflict. So, once again, we can now believe that I am, this guy making this video, I'm enlightened or not. But this has no effect whatsoever on you. And so it is not relevant at all. So it really doesn't matter who I am and what I am for you. Only you matter in this endeavor. Yeah, I just wanted to share this and maybe you enjoy. Thank you.